The fundamental divergence between the Boeing E-7 Wedgetail and the Shaanxi KJ-500 lies in their radar design philosophy. The E-7 carries the Northrop Grumman Multi-Role Electronically Scanned Array, or MESA, in a fixed dorsal top hat structure, which uses side-emitting arrays for 120-degree coverage on each side and end-fire arrays for the remaining 60-degree sectors fore and aft, achieving full 360-degree coverage without mechanical rotation. This design allows the MESA to dynamically allocate transmit and receive modules to prioritize a specific threat sector, effectively doubling detection range and achieving extremely high revisit rates against maneuvering targets such as hypersonic glide vehicles or stealth fighters. In contrast, the KJ-500 employs 3 fixed AESA panels arranged in a triangular formation inside a non-rotating radome, each covering a dedicated 120-degree sector. This provides continuous 360-degree situational awareness without the need for energy focusing, making the KJ-500 exceptionally effective at detecting multiple threats arriving from different azimuths simultaneously. While the E-7 excels in offensive counter-air scenarios, where energy concentration on a known threat axis is paramount, the KJ-500 is optimized for defensive surveillance, where persistent all-aspect coverage is the priority. The choice of airframe dramatically affects each system's tactical employment. The E-7 is based on the Boeing 737-700 commercial jet, giving it a service ceiling of 41,000 feet, a cruise speed of 853 kilometers per hour, and a time on station of approximately 9 to 10 hours. Its higher altitude extends the radar horizon to roughly 460 kilometers, providing earlier detection of sea-skimming missiles or low-flying aircraft. Its jet speed allows rapid repositioning to avoid incoming long-range air-to-air missiles such as the PL-15 or to cover gaps in surveillance coverage. Conversely, the KJ-500 uses the Shaanxi Y9 turboprop transport with a ceiling around 34,000 feet, a cruise speed of 550 kilometers per hour, but an endurance of 12 to 14 hours, extendable to 24 hours with aerial refueling on the KJ-500A variant. The lower altitude reduces its radar horizon to approximately 422 kilometers. But its slow loiter speed and long endurance make it ideal for persistent monitoring of choke points such as the Taiwan Strait or the South China Sea. Additionally, the Y9 can operate from short, austere runways, allowing the KJ-500 to be dispersed across China's island bases in the South China Sea, creating a redundant and unpredictable surveillance network that is difficult for an adversary to fully suppress. The effectiveness of an AEW&C platform ultimately depends on its ability to guide fighter aircraft and weapons. The E-7 is deeply integrated into the US-led coalition's Cooperative Engagement Capability, or CEC, and Joint All-Domain Command and Control, JADC2 architecture. It can receive data from F-35s via the MADL, Multifunction Advanced Data Link, and share real-time tracks with Aegis warships, enabling the ship to fire an SM-6 using the E-7's radar for mid-course guidance. The E-7 can also control loyal wingman drones like the MQ-28 Ghost Bat, acting as a forward sensor node without risking the crewed platform. On the other side, the KJ-500 is the backbone of China's informatized combat network, seamlessly integrating with J-20 stealth fighters, J-16 electronic warfare aircraft, and HQ-19 ground-based air defense systems. The KJ-500 enables the classic ABC kill chain, where the AWACS detects the target. A silent J-20 launches a PL-15 without activating its own radar, and the KJ-500 provides mid-course updates until the missile's terminal seeker activates. Chinese exercises have demonstrated that even J-10C fighters, when cued by KJ-500 data, can simulate kills against J-20 stealth aircraft, proving that the network has achieved parity with Western capabilities in sensor fusion and low probability of intercept data links. Surviving in a heavy jamming environment and detecting low observable targets are critical for modern AEW&C. The E-7's MESA radar operates in L-band, which inherently has better performance against stealth coatings due to the longer wavelength interacting with larger airframe structures rather than being absorbed by radar-absorbent materials. Northrop Grumman has equipped the MESA with advanced electronic protection features, including adaptive side lobe cancellation and gallium nitride (GaN) transmit and receive modules on later variants, providing high-effective radiated power to burn through jamming. However, the KJ-500 has made remarkable strides in counter-stealth and electronic warfare. Chinese sources claim that the KJ-500's AESA uses Frequency Diverse Array (FDA) technology, which emits chaotic waveforms that are difficult for enemy electronic support measures to detect or localize, while simultaneously allowing the KJ-500 to jam adversary sensors. Moreover, the KJ-500 integrates passive detection of low probability of intercept radar emissions from F-22s and F-35s, fusing that data with UHF band ground radars to generate firing solutions. Recent reports from 2025 indicate that upgraded KJ-500A variants can reliably detect and track stealth aircraft at tactically significant ranges, though the exact performance remains classified. In this domain, the KJ-500 appears to have closed the gap that once heavily favored Western AEW&C. Perhaps the most consequential difference between the two systems is their respective fleet sizes and production capacity. As of early 2026, China operates approximately 40 to 50 KJ-500 aircraft, with additional KJ-500A and KJ-500H, the maritime variants, entering service at a rate of at least 6 per year from the Xi'an factory. This number continues to grow, supported by a mature Y9 production line and China's ability to mass-produce AESA radar modules at industrial scale. In contrast, the global fleet of E-7 Wedgetail remains severely limited. Australia has 6, Turkey 4, South Korea 4, and the United Kingdom is fielding 3 for a total of only 17 active units. The US Air Force's planned procurement of 26 E-7s was briefly cancelled in June 2025 before being partially restored with $1.1 billion in funding in 2026. But the first US E-7s are not expected to reach operational status until the 2030s. This 3-to-1 numerical disparity in favor of the KJ-500 has profound strategic implications. In a protracted high-intensity conflict over the Pacific, China can sustain persistent 24 hours AEW&C coverage with multiple redundant orbits, absorbing the loss of several KJ-500s without mission degradation, while the Western coalition would struggle to replace even a single E-7 downed by a long-range missile or drone attack. Real-world events have validated many of these technical assessments. In May 2025, during a brief air skirmish between India and Pakistan, Pakistani-operated KJ-500s were credited with enabling a J-10C to lock onto an Indian Rafale without activating its own radar, relying entirely on the KJ-500's data link and mid-course guidance for a simulated PL-15 engagement. This incident demonstrated that Chinese AEW&C technology has reached operational maturity and can decisively influence air combat outcomes. Meanwhile, in April 2026, during Operation Epic Fury in the Middle East, a U.S. Air Force E-3G Sentry was destroyed by a long-range missile while stationed on a Saudi airbase. The incident underscored the vulnerability of large, slow AEW&C platforms in the era of precision standoff weapons and intensified congressional pressure to accelerate E-7 procurement. However, the same vulnerability applies to the E-7 itself, which is a large Boeing 737 with a significant radar cross-section, and the cancellation of the US E-7 program has created a critical early warning gap that will persist for years. In a hypothetical conflict across the first and second island chains, the disparity in AEW&C numbers creates a severe dilemma for the United States and its allies. China can deploy 10 to 12 KJ-500 orbits continuously over the East China Sea and South China Sea, providing persistent surveillance and battle management for J-20S, J-16S, and naval assets. Even if some KJ-500S are shot down, China's production capacity can replace them within months, while the US and its allies cannot afford to lose any of their precious E-7s. Moreover, the KJ-500's ability to cue J-20s for stealthy beyond visual range engagements forces Western fighters to operate under constant threat, degrading their own sensor performance. The E-7's MESA radar remains superior in high revisit rate tracking of hypersonic weapons and in focusing energy to detect stealthy targets at extreme range, but this qualitative edge is increasingly negated by the sheer volume of Chinese sensors, which can use multiple KJ-500s to triangulate and track targets through sheer data fusion. The US Air Force's continued reliance on aging E-3 Sentries, which have only 60% mission-capable rates due to their 50-year-old airframes, exacerbates the problem. Until the E-7 fleet expands significantly, the Western alliance faces an AEW&C gap that China is exploiting aggressively. The final verdict of this technical audit is that the E-7 Wedgetail maintains a qualitative advantage in per-platform sensor performance, particularly in focused sector scanning, high revisit rates, and integration with coalition CEC and F-35 MADL networks. However, the KJ-500 has achieved remarkable progress in counter-stealth detection, electronic warfare resilience, and networked battle management, closing the technology gap to a point where the difference in a one-on-one engagement would be narrow. The decisive factor in a prolonged Pacific conflict will not be which radar is marginally better, but which side can sustain its AEW&C fleet through attrition. China's ability to mass-produce KJ-500s at a rate of 6 or more per year, combined with an existing fleet of over 40 units, gives it an overwhelming advantage in operational endurance and redundancy. The United States, by cancelling and then only partially restoring its E-7 procurement, has left itself and its allies with a fragile, high-value fleet that cannot absorb losses. Therefore, while the E-7 is technically superior in several key metrics, the strategic balance of AEW&C power in the Pacific has shifted in favor of China due to quantity, industrial capacity, and the unforgiving math of attrition warfare. To regain the high ground, the West must either dramatically accelerate E-7 production or develop a new, more survivable, and more numerous AEW&C architecture, such as distributed sensor networks or loyal wingman drones, before the next major conflict begins.